Welcome to Seattle Public Utilities Ask Evelyn Live, where we answer your questions about recycling, compost, garbage, and other trashy topics. I'm your host, Becca Fong, and this week, back by popular demand, is another AMA, so we are ready for you guys to ask us anything. And as joined by my co-host, Pat, we are super excited to join you guys for one last show for 2021. All right, hi, Pat.
Happy holidays. How are you?
I am good. I'm really good. How are you?
Good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome.
Ready for some questions this week?
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. I hope you guys have got some good questions for us lined up. You guys have also sent us some, so we hope to get to as many, if not all of them. So, all right, let's kick it off, Pat. So I wanted to kick this off. Those of you who just joined us, fantastic. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, and we will answer all of your recycling, compost, garbage, burning questions. We're super excited. All right, so one question that I had, and actually, I'm bummed I had a prop, but the question that one of you guys sent me in was about blister pack, and it's kind of a weird industry term. Blister pack is generally something that my kids got a flashlight. It's like paper with a plastic like formed shape over it, and they call that blister pack. Yeah. And you guys wanted to know if it was recyclable. And I said, yes. So the answer is you can recycle the paper part, but not the plastic part. And the reason we can't recycle the plastic part is, Pat?
Well, it's because we don't really know for sure what kind of plastic it is. That's one thing. And it's also, they're random shapes and sizes, and it's not really a plastic that the recycle center is equipped to deal with. So blister pack has never been some of the recycle centers have wanted in the past, and we're just that's why it's a no on our categories.
Totally. Okay, we got the first question here in the feed.
Right.
What are the waste pros and cons of a real tree versus an artificial tree? So we'll try to stay on our waste lane.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So yeah, that's like diapers, cloth or single-use diapers. So yeah, so on the Christmas trees, you got to think about the footprint. There's actually a lot of inputs that go into growing a tree. Of course, the tree is doing great for all of us while it sits there growing its whole life. If you compost your tree at the end of life, then you have an item that's fully compostable, whereas a artificial tree is going to be garbage at the end of its life. There will not be a recycling option for that. So the production of an artificial tree, I mean, I'm sure one could search Google for this and find some, college grad student who did an analysis of this or something like that. But I mean, my gut take on it is I like the natural tree industry myself. Artificial trees certainly have a place for a lot of like commercial settings and stuff. They use the artificial trees because you can't have a real tree in some areas for fire code reasons. So
true.
On the home front, residentially, we always get a real tree each year. So I'm in the real tree camp. What about you, Becca?
Fair enough. Well, people could Google, but they have us, right?
Yes, right.
So we're like the analog Google. I think the one benefit to having an artificial tree is that you can use it over and over again. So agreed, you can totally compost it. I think that if you are using it to the maximum amount of life, like my parents have the same artificial tree that they've had for like 20 years. So they've gotten some really good use out of that, which I think is a really huge benefit. I mean, I have no proof to back this up, but I'm guessing most people don't keep their fake trees for 20 years, but that's a pretty good life cycle analysis there.
I do have a friend who has his artificial tree, and he said, well, the lights stopped working. They come with lights in them, but I just put lights on it and keep using it. So that, if you have an artificial tree and your lights burn out, and they're integrated into the branches and stuff, just get lights and add them, just like a person would do with a normal tree, with a natural tree. So get as much life out of your artificial tree as possible. And your real tree, keep it up as long as you want to, and then you can compost it at home. I mean, we put ours out in the backyard before and hung, if we did popcorn, around it or something like that, we'll leave it out for the birds to peck at for a while before.
That is lovely.
Yeah.
All right, Pat, we got a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah, we should keep going.
We're going to try to do some rapid fire. So we get this one a lot. Why can't I compost my dog's poop? One word, pathogens.
Yeah.
So when dog poop goes to a compost facility, they are not set up to handle the pathogens on it. So that's why
they're not permitted. It's a health department. It's a code violation. They do not want any feces at all. This is not something they want. We don't want human waste, pet waste. No.
Yep.
Nada.
That's why. Pathogens, people.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another one here that says packages from the mail that say recycle all over them. Those of you who watch, oh my God, it is like,
yes.
I mean, you would think the recycle symbol is just part of the decor on a lot of packaging, right? So what should they do with these things if they say recycle all over them, but they do not appear to fit our guidelines, Pat?
Well, you just gotta follow our guidelines. I mean, it's really, don't get fooled by the corporate greenwashing. And it's not all greenwashing. Sometimes their heart's in the right place, or they're using, you know, plant-based material, or they're using recycled content material. I do have a prop for this, and that is our old friends at, what's it called again? Sunbasket.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of those things. And this is actually a plastic wrapped thing of like denim fiber. So what they use as an insulation. Instead of a traditional foam, they're using a different product. Now, I give them credit for that. They're trying to do something. They're purchasing recycled content material and stuff. But long story short, you know, that's not acceptable in our program. That is not compostable. It's not recyclable.
Yes.
So it's a unique item that a company has chosen to use, but don't be fooled by the recycle symbol all the time.
Absolutely. We got another question that's a perfect segue about what do I do with styrofoam? So you had that styrofoam block. Perfect thing you can do with that is you can set it out for a free special item pickup. So you go to seattle.gov/special items, and what you can do is you sign up for it, put all that styrofoam block in a bag, you write foam on that baby, you stick it out on your next collection day when we send you a notice. We pick it up for free and it gets recycled. Yep.
Make sure you request the service though. The truck will not show up to collect it if they do not.
It will not.
Log in and make the request.
Exactly. It is a different truck than your weekly collection truck. Yeah. So, okay. Here's another really good one about how do I nicely tell people that they're not that they are recycling wrong? I love this question.
Well, we have the challenge right in our own office because folks who work with us don't live in Seattle. Sometimes they live in a different service area, so their guidelines at home will not match the guidelines at work. And that's the case for a lot of us, whether you're at school or at work or what have you. So the important thing, really, the guiding light is to follow the local guidelines. You know, all recycling is local. You know, you hear the law of politics is local. Recycling is the same thing. It's like it all is local. You've got to stay in tune with what the local guidelines are, because that's what the haulers are built to do. If they get a material in their collection container that doesn't fit their guidelines, then it's basically contamination to them. So please just follow local guidelines. And it takes a little effort to figure out, okay, what is accepted at home, what's accepted at work, what is at the school or wherever else you're spending time.
Sure. Totally. So I think nicely telling people, you know, I always kind of laugh in the Northwest. We're infamous for just leaving little notes to tell people that they're not doing it right. But instead, what you can do is that every year we send you guidelines that come to your house. You're welcome to share those to people. Whether you're a apartment resident or whether you're a single family house resident, we send those to you. And it's always nice to kind of slip those to people. There you go. Send them a little where does it go guide. You can also send them to our website for more information. And that is a really good way to just be like, hey, you know, here's a refresher on the guidelines. And this is a good way to kind of tell people, hey, this is some stuff that you can kind of work on a little bit here. So
it's all there. And the backside has all the good information too about the unique materials as well. So check it out.
Absolutely. So it says, how can I recycle when I'm out when I'm out of it that needs to be recycled properly? I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but I'm gonna come back to you. Okay, we got another one. How do I know if all those takeout containers are compostable or not? That's all you, Pat.
Okay, so generally paper products are going to be recyclable. Okay, if they say compostable or they're not coated, then they can be compostable. But a paper cup, a to-go paper cup, it's recyclable in Seattle. Again, I just added Seattle because the comment we said before, other areas around Seattle do not accept cups in their recycling, but we do in Seattle. They're just a poly-coated paperboard product.
Yes.
So we accept them. And so the to-go containers, food containers, same idea. If it's a paperboard box, if you just give it a rinse, clean it out, it's totally recyclable. Only compost the items that actually have the word compostable on them, have the BPI symbol or the CMA symbol, something that identifies it as tested and approved for compostable.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, another question we have coming in is about those recycle numbers. Speaking of labeling on those packages, I'm so stoked that you guys look at those, but those numbers indicate the plastic resin codes. And those are really what an item is made out of. Just like Pat's got on there, it does not tell if it's recyclable, if it's acceptable in your stream. It just tells you what it's made out of.
Yeah, so our guidelines just go with what's rigid plastic is accepted in our program. food, beverage, soap, these kinds of containers that you get, either to-go containers from restaurants and such, or things from the grocery store. Those are accepted in our recycle bin if it's rigid plastic, not the flimsy little, you know, cookie tray plastic. We don't want that flimsy stuff, and certainly not plastic film either. No bags, no wraps, anything like that. But if it's a rigid plastic container, then you're good to go in the blue cart.
Absolutely. So those numbers, ignore them. Go with the shape. We want rigid plastics. Again, a good use to kind of slide those new guidelines to people who are maybe having some trouble with that. It's our more direct version of leaving them a note. So we got a really good one here. Can paper towels go in the recycling? So the answer is no. And the reason is, we talked about this, I think, on our last show, is that the value in paper recycling is in the length of the fiber. So, you know, when you've got a paper towel and you start to rip it apart and it's got all those little pieces in it, those are really short little fiber pieces, similar to egg cartons. So that's why we don't take paper towels in recycling. If they don't have chemicals on it, go ahead and put those babies in the compost.
Right. And most of the time it's going to have moisture or food waste or something like that on it. So it's a better candidate for the compost bin.
Totally. Okay. So let's see. Oh, this is a really good one. If you're out and about, so you're out in public and you don't have an opportunity to get to a sink, how clean, empty, and dry does your stuff need to be?
I like to do a napkin wipe. You know, that's a good way to do it. Like if you get a to-go container and a compostable fork and a cloth napkin, I mean a paper napkin, you can wipe it out, and then your compost fork, your compost paper towel, your napkin can go in the compost bin. And then if you've wiped it out, wiped it clean, then we're good to go for recycling. If it says compostable on the container, obviously you can just put it in the compost bin with all of your food residue still on it. But a plastic rigid container like this, like if this came with soup in it, like pho soup, basically empty is okay. If you have access to a sink, you give it a really quick rinse, that's good. But basically empty is good enough, especially when you're on the go. If you're on the go and you have an empty coffee cup, it's okay to recycle that. When you're at home and you're right in your kitchen, give it the little rinse, because every little bit we can do to increase the quality and the value of the commodity, we're going to get better yield, better recycled content value out of all the materials we're putting into the recycle center.
Totally. So this one's a little bit of a switch. Is what do I do with that horrible gift somebody gave me? Think body lotion or bad art. I'm feeling for you. That is hard. And they wanted to know, what do I do with it? Is regifting it ever okay? I can't make that regifting call for you. It depends on how stinky that lotion is and how bad that art is. But if you feel like it would be an appropriate gift for somebody else, you can go ahead and regift that. Something like bad artwork, candles, framed cats playing poker. You can probably donate that to a thrift store. You could also put it on Buy Nothing. You will be amazed what people will want. Like that peach hand lotion that your auntie sent you. Someone might be really stoked, even if it's been used a little bit. You would be surprised. So go ahead and regift that stuff.
I'm a big supporter of regifting. I don't think there's any shame in that. It's absolutely, you know, it's not your thing, then pass it on to the next person. And, you know, Goodwill or other thrift stores are a great option for that. There are definitely folks who will want your gift. I guarantee you there's a match for your gift somewhere out there.
There is. On the gift front, someone wants to know if gift wrap is recyclable. So we did talk about this quite a bit, but Pat, you want to give this person a quick answer?
Well, the quick answer is the foils and glitters and heavy usage of tape, those are no-go. But other forms of just paper wrapping, it's fine. It's all good. Holiday wrapping, birthday wrapping, any kind of wrapping paper that's just paper is totally fine to recycle.
Totally. That's like, this is what this little flower's made out of. It's just like it's got penguins and reindeer on it. Like you can totally put that in the recycling.
Yeah, do like I do. Unwrap your gift. Don't tear into it. Unwrap it, you know, so you can save the wrapping.
Oh, I'm all in for that. All right, we got another really good one. We do get this one a lot. It's why can companies like Ridwell accept film plastic, but SPU cannot? So
we tried to collect the film in the blue cart. We did it for a few years.
Yep.
Did not work out well for the recycle centers. That plastic film gets caught in the gears. It gets mixed up into the conveyor belts. It's hard to pull away from the other materials. So plastic film, plastic bags no longer allowed in any form in the blue cart. A take-back program or a drop-off program or a special collection, like what Ridwell does, those are fine. That's source separation. That's not commingled collection and then sortation.
Right.
That's a collection of one material, collected as that material, and then brokered as that commodity to the markets. And that stuff's coming back as Trex decking or other recycled content for plastic garbage bags, things like that. So I think it's great.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we talked about at the top here about styrofoam block, right? So that can't go into the mixed blue cart, but we have special item pickup for all kinds of things. So that's really a good reminder as you're going through your holiday stuff. You know, we pick up styrofoam, we pick up gas canisters, we pick up small electronics and small appliances as people are upgrading or you're finding out that things are broken. Those are a separate sorted system that allows us to collect those for recyclability.
Yeah, you take a box like this, a nice good box that you got, you know,
nice
as a product. You take something like this and you fill it with like your old broken hair dryer and your empty little gas propane tank that's totally empty, and your batteries and some foam block or whatever. The things that you would normally request as a collection, you can do a special item pickup for $20 and we will take that from your home for you.
It is awesome. You just got to walk it out to the curb, schedule it, special items, and you're good to go. So actually, that reminds me, we got one question here is about, is there any way to recycle a holiday bulb or string of lights? Individual bulbs are tough, but string of lights, go for it, Pat.
Yeah, well, the Recycle Holiday Lights program is something that's been hosted, and we thank them for it by King County Solid Waste. So if you search Holiday Lights Recycling, you'll probably pop up King County Solid Waste. There's a handful of hardware stores and other participating retailers that have drop bins for these, you know, broken strings of holiday lights. So that's a program that kind of comes back on the scene each year about this time of year, and it's a great option for these lights. They're definitely not okay to put in your blue cart.
No, same problem with the plastic film. It's a sortation problem. They wrap around all the screens. But yeah, there's a really great option. And what they're recycling is the copper wire that is in the string. So the actual bulbs and the plastic is not recycled. That stuff is all stripped away. And they actually reclaim the copper wire, just so you guys know what's happening with that, which is why you guys are tuning into the AMA.
Yeah, so, that's right.
We got another really fun question, which is what are some of our waste-free product swaps to replace single-use disposable items?
You mean ideas for?
Sure.
Well, I mean, just, you know, any durable, if I'm following the question right, any durable or reusable item that you can substitute for single use, that's really what is as a plus, you know, cloth napkins instead of paper towels. I mean, just have a handful of them in the kitchen handy, and they work great, and they feel good too. So yeah, I mean, that's an example. Do you have another thought, Becca?
Oh yeah. So they just want to know, I think our Pat and Becca personal endorsement. So cloth napkins, Pat, you've always been a huge endorser of cloth napkins. For me, I'm all about bringing my own food serviceware. So I have, Pat's known me for a long time. I always have travel chopsticks and a spoon. And mainly that is because I don't ever want to miss an eating opportunity, because you don't know, like, people are surprised. Like, can I eat birthday cake with a pair of chopsticks? Absolutely, people. And if I didn't have those chopsticks, it would be a little harder, but I would probably eat that birthday cake.
Yeah, one of my favorite giveaways we had a couple years ago was through the EnviroStars program. We gave away these sporks, these little EnviroStar sporks. It was just so fun. They were the most popular giveaway at the event we were tabling at. And this is a great one. This is from a company. You can get these at REI or other outdoor stores. It's got a little knife edge on the fork, and then, of course, the spoon end. So it's really handy. Just shove it in your backpack, your glove box, you know, your console of your car, and you have it handy.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think anything that you're going to keep handy, I think that's the main thing, is figuring out what you can actually kind of keep with you as often as possible. We've got someone that says they love their reusable cotton rounds. I have totally used reusable little like scrub cloths for years. You just throw them in the laundry. And again, it's something that's easy and convenient because they're at home. So it's easy to throw them in the laundry. That's another really awesome thing. You know, I mean, I think a lot of us have got water bottles and coffee cups. I always pick ones that are super durable because, you know, sometimes my bag gets thrown on the ground and anything too delicate is not going to survive. So that's always good. One other thing, because I also, this is part of not wanting to miss an eating opportunity, is I often have some kind of container. So I could put like leftovers or snacks in it, whether it's like a Tupperware container.
Right.
I haven't had a lot of success with those little silicone bags, but I know people do, but that's on me because, again, I don't want my food to get smashed. My kids love those because they can put little snacks and treats in them, and they're small enough to keep them in their bags. So those are really great. So again, anything small and convenient and associated with food, because that's what motivates us, right, Pat?
Absolutely. And I want to encourage folks to bring these empty containers that you probably have around the house to your, you know, the family and holiday gatherings you might be attending this weekend. You know, feel free. Just have them in your bag, like on the ready for like the leftovers after the meal. You know, you don't want to lead with that, but you want to have them ready for, you know, that moment when the materials ready.
Totally. All right, we got a question here about rates. So it says, do we expect to raise rates again in 2022? I actually just finished working on the collection calendar that goes out to single family residents.
Okay.
So we do have a small rate hike that is going up. We try to keep it pretty reasonable. One of the reasons that our rates do go up is because, at least for garbage, those of you who are Seattle customers, you will notice that you do not get an extra charge for recycling. When you are out anywhere else getting services in the area, there's a separate charge for recycling. And we chose long ago to have that cost embedded into the cost of the garbage recycling service. And so that is why our rates can be a little bit higher. For composting, those rates will go up as well. And that really is, we work super duper hard to make sure that our processors are paid well. They are handling all the material properly, efficiently, to actually turn it into a viable, rich product at the end. And it does cost money for that. I mean, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I've noticed the cost of things just in general going up quite a bit in the last 2 years. And that impacts everything, right? We want to make sure that people are paying the wages that they need to make. We make sure that there's enough truck chassis, there's enough fuel, and everything is running smoothly. So rates do go up. But I feel very confident, being an SBU customer as well, that I feel like I'm getting some pretty good value for my money. So our rates will go up, but not very much.
And the more we divert, the more we can compost, the more we can recycle. Those tonnages cost less than garbage. So it's smart for the consumer to have the right size container, so the garbage is the smallest container. But it's also great for the system because it keeps the rate path the most level as possible and not increasing as much.
Absolutely, which is the reasoning why we decided long ago to embed the recycling service into garbage. And the reason was to really incentivize people who were not early adopters to get on board, to say like, hey, we want to make sure that the service is available to everybody. And so that's why that's there. So
most communities around Seattle have the pay as you throw model, which is the different size garbage container creates a different rate associated with how much material you're having hauled away each week. Some communities beyond Seattle, beyond Washington, they just do a flat rate and there's just no incentive. So we have a good structured program where, with the incentives in place, you can trust that the rates are appropriate to what the costs are.
Totally. And so we did have a follow-up question, which is it funded just from rates, or do taxes go towards it too? The reason for rate increases is the reason for the rate increase due to inflation in the last 2 years? So rates solely pay for your services. So ratepayers pay for your services. So taxes do not pay for this.
And there's a lag to that. What the inflation we're all experiencing right now as consumers, that's not going to be reflected in your rates right now for utilities. Utility rates are usually approved, and there's a 3, 4, 5 year rate path that's approved. So we're in the midst of that right now. It'll be a couple of years, I think, before we would see another opportunity for any rate changes. Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I think we're gonna wrap this up here. We are super excited for all of you who joined us for our AMA this year. We are so glad. We had so much fun when we did one earlier this year. We will definitely schedule some more. I love the vast variety of questions. We love hearing from you. And I do love that folks are really interested in kind of, what are the pros and cons of trees, right? And that's a note that we definitely wanted to go out on, which was to remember, because we are not going to be having a show next week because it is time to have a break.
Yeah.
It's time to celebrate the coming of the new year, but we will see you first week of January. But in the meantime, for those of you who did opt for a real tree and real greens, Pat, what's their option?
Well, we're going to have... you can put your tree out at the curb next to your yard waste cart in the month of January. So, and they also have a couple of drop-off sites at our transfer stations also available for self-haul customers. So I just want to let folks know, though, if you have a huge tree, like a big, 7-footer, you're going to have to lop that in half. The truck is only dimensionally so big to take as big of a tree. But most trees are totally fine, and their regular, standard tree size is fine. But the guidelines, I think, are the big tree should be cut in half.
Yeah, totally. So the capacity on the truck, which is also kind of a fun thing to tune in for the AMA, is that generally the capacity and the space for things to go into the packer is about 4 feet. So that's why you'll see the extras for recycling, because you guys will probably have some extras too with all the different packaging coming your way. Cardboard needs to be smaller than 4x4. That's why we want folks to cut their trees shorter. So those pieces go into the truck, which Honestly, before I worked in this industry, I didn't really understand why there were the size limitations. So part of it is safety for the driver to haul them, and then also the capacity and the operational kind of dimensions of the truck. So that's a good thing to think about.
That's good. Yeah, you're right. 4 feet. So if you just, the top 2 is a 6-footer, just take the top couple feet and snap it off there. It'll be good.
Absolutely. And then one really quick reminder, extras, because they are going to be out there. Make sure that you put them in a box. If you have a lot, if it's mainly paper and cardboard, it's going to be real wet. Make sure you put them out the morning of, because like we were talking about with paper towels, the value in paper recycling is in that fiber. And when it gets wet, there it goes, right? That value.
Yeah. If you have a box like this, you can just flatten all your cardboard and stack it in there, and they'll take the whole thing.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, everybody stay safe, have fun, take care. And we hope that you get to celebrate with, you know, some of your favorite people during this time of year. You guys are definitely some of our favorite people, all the waste nerds out there. You tune in with us every week, and it's awesome. It is totally the highlight of my week. Thank you guys so much for your questions, for tuning in every week, for, you know, just supporting us. It's fantastic. So and doing what you do every day when you make a decision about where does this thing go.
You're all part of the solution. Thanks to everybody who's recycling and composting and thinking about it and doing the right thing, and we really appreciate it. And thank you, Becca, for leading the charge here with Ask Evelyn Show. Really appreciate you. Appreciate Katie Dillon and Gemini Davis, you know, the staff that help us put this on each week. It's a great team. It's great fun. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays. You know, thanks a lot for watching.
I know. To the best co-host ever. Thank you so much, Pat. All right, folks, we'll take care, be safe, and we will see you in January. And with that, I'm Becca Fong, and life's better with less stuff.
And I'm Pat Kaufman. Remember to recycle right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.